So if you ever liked playing the God of War series as a kid, or if you enjoyed the recent God of War game on the PlayStation 4, then you're probably going to love what I'm about to show you in this video. There's a weapon in Elden Ring that comes pretty close to the equivalent of the Blades of Chaos that Kratos is using. Ladies and gents, let me present you the really awesome Magma Blade, a very fast-paced, high damage dealing weapon that comes with a pretty cool unique attack capable of unleashing waves of magma around you while simultaneously melting enemies around you and bosses, because I'm not just going to show you how to obtain this majestic weapon but also how to create a God of War build around it. So let's begin. Let's begin with the Magma Flame weapon, which you get by the way at the Temple of Agley. There's gonna be a bunch of Serpent Flame enemies that you need to farm to get this, but to reach that side of grace in the first place you need to do a small trick beginning back at the academy, and to be more precise at the schoolhouse classroom. Simply make your way out of the classroom until you're back at the big wheel, and from this point on simply jump over it on the other side and make your way almost at the bottom up until you see these crystals with the platform. So just jump on it, and from this point on make use of the nearby platforms until you reach the bottom of the wheel right here. Once you're in this spot you're going to notice there's an abductor, so what you want to do is to let them kill you, which is going to further teleport you right beneath the volcano manor. From here on pay attention to the right side, specifically to these cages. You will want to keep that side and drop down further in the volcano and then follow up my footsteps using these abandoned structures. Once you're here at the stairs, simply do a sharp turn to the left, go up until you see these two cages. What you want to do is to take the one to the left, since it's going to bring you to the upside and very close to the site of grace. From here on what remains is to defeat the Goldskin Noble boss so that you can unlock the site of grace that actually begins the farm. Once you have done that, what you want to do is to actually start a farm, and you will find those enemies by using this elevator to the right side of the site of grace and going to the upper balcony. From here drop down again in the volcano area and simply follow all of these like ledges until you reach the upper one that lets you enter one of these buildings using one of these open windows. And there's going to be a handful of these enemies that you will encounter in this specific place. The first one is right here at the entrance. The next one will be located further inside right by the stairs, so you can go ahead and defeat them. The one that kind of does that magma whip can be fully ignored. I haven't noticed it spawning anything in terms of the magma weapon, but then you can make your way all the way past into this like final church area. There's going to be two final serpent enemies that you can go ahead and defeat, and also ignore the spell casting one since it also doesn't drop that weapon. The farm will take a very long time unless you're super lucky. It's very annoying, and these enemies can also drop different items and different useless materials, but eventually you can get one of these magma blades, and trust me, it's worth it because this is a really excellent weapon. Now the weapon skill on it is called the Magma Shower, and basically what you're doing is you're doing the series of spins, dealing very high damage, unleashing magma all around you, but it's also an amazing way to completely break up enemies' shields. Even the annoying knights in Lindell or in Alfiel that kind of block you all the time or even use counterattacks will have their guard stances broken when using that L2 special on this amazing weapon. Overall, I would say that this is something that has carried me all the way up to some of the final bosses in the game. It deals very high damage, and because of that stagger it's going to make it super easy for you to just take down everything. What I really enjoy about it is how amazing it is, and also stacking up that fire damage. So in this case what you want to do is to actually get anything at your disposal to increase that fire damage, which brings us to upgrading it. Now by default the weapon requires 9 points into strength, 15 in dexterity, and about 16 into faith, but the scaling on this drastically changes once you reach level 10 with it, point at which the scaling for strength actually is better than the one for dexterity, which remains at a measly D for some reason, which means that past that point, if you reach level 10, you actually want to stack strength with it instead of dexterity, or maybe even both. You can totally increase the damage with both of them if you have spare runes. Now in terms of buffing up its damage, there's definitely lots of ways of doing so. Since this is partially doing fire damage, obviously Flame Grant Me Strength will give it a huge boost of about 20 to 25%, give or take, for just the attack power alone. So that's going to help you quite a bit to further melt enemies away, and it's something that you actually want to just cast before any fight and also during it in case it falls off and the enemy isn't dead yet. Another great option is the Fire Scorpion Talisman, which you get from Fort Layed. I think that's how you pronounce it. I almost said Layed, but I think it's pronounced Layed. Now you get this from this fort, you just have to make your way to the nearby site of grace. If you head over to the Volcano Manor, you're going to reach this area anyway. Simply keep it to the right side, past this boss, whatever it is, just ignore it and go all the way to the rooftop, and once you're here, right by the side of the entrance, you're going to be able to go over this kind of like wall onto the side, and yeah, the Scorpion Charm will be located right here. And this is going to give you another nice 10% fire damage increase, so it totally stacks with the attack power on your existing weapon. And I've done a bunch of other tests as well. It seems that Alexander's Shard definitely works with this one, and obviously it would because it increases the attack power of your skills, and skills are basically the special attacks you perform with these weapons. Furthermore, you can also combine two of these weapons if you're lucky enough to get them, and this is fully going to complete that build. So here's a few strategic things you can do during combat. Whenever you're facing regular types of enemies, especially the ones that tend to be fast or cast fast spells, you can use both of these weapons and use the L1 special while running to perform a similar attack to the scimitars, as in you're kind of doing 4 attacks into one with both of the weapons at the same time, so literally anything in front of you will die as long as it's not a boss. And even if you attack some of the harder enemies, as long as they don't have shields or ways to block you, they will get the full force of those weapons and die in just those couple of hits. For everything else, especially for bosses, you will want to use the L2 attack and maybe hold something like a finger seal to have enough points to get that Flame Grant Me Strength buff on you, which is why you will also want to probably invest about 15 to 18 points into Faith with this build and get that Flame Grant Me Strength damage rolling. Now, on a final note, there is one other weapon that we've talked about previously that can further complete this build, and that's going to be the Magma Wyrm Scale Blade. We already covered how amazing this weapon is and how much damage it can deal, especially with that Magma Guillotine ability that it comes with by default. You can go ahead and use it, jump in the air. This is going to deal huge amounts of damage with the blade, but at the point of impact, you will also leave a trail of magma, which deals further damage. And in both of these situations, I've actually noticed that both of these weapons, in case I don't get a wind-up attack or in case I get interrupted, I still have the magma lingering that deals quite high damage, and more often than not, it even finished off bosses when I wasn't able to with the primary attacks. Overall, I would say that this is the God of War build that you're going to want to aim for if you're playing Elden Ring right now. It's probably going to be my main one for the foreseeable future, simply because I just love these two weapons. Now, the only downside of the weapon is it's kind of limited reach, but at the same time it kind of compensates with the fact that you can activate all of these abilities very fast, at least with the magma weapon. So check it out, totally let me know down below what's your opinion of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.